almost 8 years now, The Elder Scrolls 6 has felt almost mythical. It's like the game you just want to get your hands on, but every time Bethesda did something, and they did something a lot, it just drops your hype a little by little. I still love Elder Scrolls though, and I want it to be good. It was announced all the way back in 2018 with nothing more than a short teaser, and ever since then we've had years of silence, countless rumors, endless speculation, and people wondering whether Bethesda would ever actually start talking about it. But now, after one of the biggest weeks Xbox has had in years, we're suddenly getting some of the biggest updates we've had on The Elder Scrolls 6 in a very long time. Some of them are exciting, some of them are disappointing, but one thing is becoming very clear: this game is absolutely real. It's deep into development, people inside Xbox are actually playing it. The biggest new report comes from Bloomberg journalist Jason Schreier, who is easily one of the most reliable insiders in the entire gaming industry. During a recent Bloomberg Q&A, Schreier revealed that The Elder Scrolls 6 is still at least 2 to 3 years away from release, and he specifically emphasized at least. If that estimate is correct, we're probably looking at a launch somewhere around 2028 or even 2029. After waiting almost 8 years already, that's obviously not what fans wanted to hear, but considering Bethesda's ambitions, maybe it isn't all that surprising. What's interesting though is that this doesn't contradict what Bethesda itself has been saying. Todd Howard recently confirmed that the game is fully playable internally, that development is progressing well, and that everyone at the studio is now focused on bringing players back to what he called a much more classic Bethesda RPG. Instead of experimenting the way they did with Starfield, Howard says The Elder Scrolls 6 is returning to the style that made Skyrim and Oblivion legendary in the first place. That alone should get a lot of longtime fans excited. Then there's Xbox executive Matt Booty, who recently visited Bethesda himself and actually saw the game running. According to him, The Elder Scrolls 6 looks amazing and is coming along well, but Microsoft wants to wait until the right moment before finally showing it publicly. That probably explains why we still haven't seen gameplay. Bethesda doesn't want another situation where fans wait 4 or 5 years after a major reveal. This time it sounds like they want to show the game only once it's much closer to launch. And if all of these reports are accurate, it sounds like Bethesda is trying to build something much larger than simply another Skyrim. The ambition reportedly isn't just a bigger map, it's a handcrafted fantasy world that's absolutely packed with meaningful content. Instead of endless empty landscapes, the goal is reportedly a world where every direction leads to something worth discovering. Ancient ruins hidden deep in forests, massive underground civilizations, forgotten castles, dangerous monster dens, hidden factions, remote villages, entire quest lines that players could completely miss for hundreds of hours if they simply walk the other direction. That's really what Bethesda has always been best at. Their games aren't about following a checklist. They're about getting distracted every 10 minutes because you spotted something interesting on the horizon. You head toward one cave, then stumble across an abandoned tower, then meet a traveler asking for help, then discover an ancient crypt, and before you know it, you've completely forgotten what your original objective even was. The world itself is also expected to be far more reactive than anything Bethesda has built before. Thanks to Creation Engine 3, Todd Howard has already explained that the technology allows the team to create much more detailed simulations while keeping the massive open world stable. That means more believable NPC behavior, more dynamic encounters, better environmental interactions, improved loading technology, and much larger seamless environments than previous Elder Scrolls games could realistically support. Of course, the biggest question everyone keeps asking is where the game actually takes place. Bethesda still hasn't officially confirmed the setting, but Hammerfell and High Rock continue to be the two locations most fans and researchers believe are the strongest candidates based on years of analysis surrounding the original teaser. Bethesda remains completely silent about that, but speculation has only grown stronger as time passes. Another major development happened this week following Microsoft's massive Xbox restructuring. According to multiple reports, Bethesda is becoming one of the absolute highest priorities inside Xbox moving forward. Instead of spreading resources across dozens of different projects, Microsoft reportedly wants Bethesda focusing primarily on its biggest franchises: The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom, Wolfenstein, and Quake. In other words, The Elder Scrolls 6 isn't getting pushed aside anymore. It has become one of Xbox's biggest long-term investments. That also raises another huge question: exclusivity. Bloomberg reports suggest Microsoft may begin keeping more of its biggest single-player games exclusive to Xbox and PC again, to strengthen the Xbox ecosystem. Nothing specifically confirms The Elder Scrolls 6 will be one of those games, but if Microsoft truly wants system sellers over the next generation, it's difficult to imagine a much bigger exclusive than the long-awaited sequel to Skyrim. On the other hand, millions of potential PlayStation sales would be hard to ignore, so that decision likely hasn't even been finalized yet. What's becoming increasingly obvious is that Bethesda isn't rushing this project even under pressure. Skyrim changed RPGs forever, and Bethesda knows expectations are almost impossible to satisfy. Rather than releasing another huge open world simply because people are tired of waiting, they seem determined to spend whatever time is necessary building a world players can disappear into for years. If that means thousands of handcrafted locations, hundreds of memorable characters, dozens of factions, terrifying monsters, hidden dungeons, legendary weapons, meaningful exploration, and adventures that naturally emerge from simply wandering across Tamriel, then maybe this wait will actually end up being worth it. The game is playable. Bethesda executives are openly talking about it again. Xbox leadership has seen it running. Microsoft's restructuring is putting even more focus behind it. And while Jason Schreier's latest report means we still have a few years left to wait, it also confirms something fans have desperately wanted to hear for a long time. The Elder Scrolls 6 isn't stuck in development hell. It's quietly coming together behind the scenes, and when Bethesda finally decides it's time to reveal it properly, there's a very good chance we'll be looking at one of the biggest RPG releases the industry has ever seen. And the exciting part is that despite the long wait, it doesn't feel like Bethesda is simply making Skyrim 2. Every comment coming from Todd Howard, Matt Booty, and even Microsoft's recent restructuring points toward a game that's being treated as one of the company's biggest priorities for the next generation. Bethesda knows this isn't just another sequel, it's the first brand new mainline Elder Scrolls in well over 15 years, and it has to live up to one of the most influential RPGs ever created. That's a ridiculous amount of pressure, but it's also why the studio seems willing to spend every extra year polishing it instead of rushing it out the door. There are also plenty of rumors that Bethesda is taking lessons from both Starfield and Skyrim. Starfield received criticism for relying too heavily on procedural generation in many areas, and several insiders believe The Elder Scrolls 6 will swing back toward a much more handcrafted approach. That doesn't necessarily mean the world will be smaller, quite the opposite. The expectation is that exploration itself will feel more rewarding, with unique locations, memorable discoveries, handcrafted dungeons, hidden factions, random encounters, and secrets that players naturally stumble across instead of simply checking off icons on a map. None of that has been officially confirmed yet, but it certainly lines up with Todd Howard's comments about returning to Bethesda's classic RPG philosophy. Like the video right now and subscribe to stay tuned.